Hello, everybody. This is Christina Fasonic, and I'm broadcasting live from Wheeling, West Virginia, like always. And as you can see, I'm outside, even though it's kind of chilly out here, because if I spend more than 1 second more in my house, I'm probably going to throw a brick at something. So I've got this confinement cabin fever blues going on. So I want to introduce my partner in crime on this, Damian Dressick. How are you, Damian?
I am quite well, Christina. I'm just going to go with throwing the brick.
Yeah, well, I see you still haven't got a hat.
I haven't.
I have one, but I took it off because I feel like I need to let my hair blow free out here in the wind. So, how are you this evening?
It's cold here.
It is cold.
It is. The temperature has plummeted. So we went to the teachers' parade today. And they paraded by for the students, and it was cold.
Yeah, it was.
We're happy.
Yeah, well, I've been covering up. There's a full quilt out here and a towel and other things because I use it to cover up my plants every night. We got frost last night, bad frost. And we're supposed to get it all weekend. So bring back the warm weather, right?
I think so. In like a week or something.
I hope. Well, tonight we have a special guest, and I'm really excited about having her on because we've sort of crossed streams for a lot of years together, but never really had time to really get to know each other. I do not wish to mispronounce her name, so I'm going to call her on and ask her to pronounce it for us because I hate it when somebody mispronounces my name, and I practiced, I swear. So let's bring her on. Will you please?
Hi, Christina. Hi, Damian.
Hey there.
No.
Omope Carter Daboiku here.
Is it cold down there tonight, too?
Yes, it is. You know, the old timers used to say that you should plan on getting frost all the way up to Mother's Day weekend. And so this proves that they knew what they were talking about because it's Mother's Day weekend and we're supposed to have below 32-degree temperatures tomorrow night.
Yeah, they were saying 28 degrees up here tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's pretty chilly for the second weekend of May.
Especially given that we've had some 70s temperatures and all kinds of other things.
Well, I don't know about the given part because, you know, we've had some erratic weather for the last 3 years. So I'm going to keep out a winter coat, a light jacket, and get some short sleeve shirts too. All of that.
We're all living in Scotland now.
And a good straw, yes, because we're all living in Scotland now. We certainly are.
Now, Omope, I just was at a meeting with a bunch of people who know you well and heard you read, and they said, I and everybody else who is watching tonight, we are in for a special treat because you are amazing. So I am so looking forward to this.
You know, this is a wonderful thing about the shutdown. I asked, and I have to apologize in advance. You know, I've been seeking serenity. So that's been my prayer, to understand serenity the way I saw it on my mother's parents. But I did not mean to shut down the universe. So we'll just have to go roll with this. But this is perfect time to spend all that time that we said we would use when we got around to it. Well, the round to it's here. So we got to get something done. So I'm pitching stuff and throwing away stuff that ain't relevant no more and trying to, you know, do the metamorphosis thing and emerge from this different. So, and ready for whatever it is it's going to be next.
So quarantine is a cocoon.
Yes, it has been a cocoon.
And you think you might be ready to emerge now? Or at least a little?
Well, no, I'm going to emerge regardless. I think I'll be metamorphosized.
Yes.
You know, that's what I'm thinking.
Purgatory is over.
Yes, purgatory will end. Yes, it will.
It's got it.
And we're all going to emerge from this, hopefully, with our lessons intact.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Let us learn things and be able to put them into practice.
Yes, ma'am.
It's over. So before you read, and I agree with what Damian said, I've heard you and seen your performances before, and I've always been bowled over by everything that you do. But I wanted to let our audience know really who you are and what your background is.
Okay.
So you grew up in Ironton, which I know what that is because there's a branch of Ohio University down there.
There is.
And you say it's more like north central Appalachia. And I agree. I think that we have more in common with the Ironton, Huntington area up here in the north than we really do with, say, southern West Virginia or Kentucky.
Well, because of our iron tradition, we're really a Pittsburgh all the way down to us, industrial area. So we were a primary draw all along that Ohio River industrial corridor. Pittsburgh, Steubenville, Marietta,
Wheeling,
Lease, Tiger Creek, whole country.
And I like what you say in your bio. You said that you were trained as a cultural geographer. And
yes.
Yeah, I love that. And that your writing explores the dynamics of mixed ancestry, family migration, and the internal angst of being a hillbilly in brown skin.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I had to wait until I could confess those things before I could publicly share my writing about that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure.
Because it was hard. I was just reflecting this last 50th anniversary of what I grew up calling the Kent State Massacre. It happened May before I was scheduled to go off to Ohio State that August.
Oh my.
And it created enough turmoil in my house that my daddy forgot himself and smacked me in my face. So there's a big milestone for me at that time. That's when I realized that my parents' interest and my interest were not aligned.
Wow.
And so finally I'm old enough now I can say what I want to and can't nobody put me in timeout.
Yes. That's where we all want to be. And
yep, I hope you youngins get to this place. It's mighty sweet, I must say.
I'm looking forward to it. I keep inching forward, but I'm not there yet, and I know it.
You'll make
a couple
it.
more things about you, that you've been a storyteller or a professional one since 1990, and your work everywhere. I hope so. In the Anthology of Appalachian Writers, the Pine Mountain Sand and Gravel, that your first published story, The Power of Water Baptism, was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. So that's incredible.
That was what do you all call that? True fiction. It's got a real name. True fiction. It was a true story, but I had to, out of respect, change some names. But that was a real experience that I had, and it took a lot to be able to talk about that, because when my daddy came and told me he was going to court this lady that had been a personal coffee drinking buddy of mine, it was like, Daddy, can you wait a year? That's an old wives' tale. Well, there's a reason why old wives tell you this. It's so the people in the community don't run around talking about the relationship they think you had when you didn't have that. Come on. But, my stepmother is a delightful woman, but I'm not allowed to call her my stepmother. So my daddy controls that relationship. And I've grown old enough, though, to come to appreciate the things I didn't like about him, because those very things are the things that's given me the strength of character to manage the journey that I was sent on. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Pig-headed, opinionated, self-righteousness, all that stuff that when we mature, we recognize that as courage, integrity,
I love that. That's a good way to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to, or else you hate people. You can't be hating people when they dead. They haunt you.
Well, Damien, do you have anything to add before we let her take the floor?
I'm just ready to hear some outstanding work. Omope, can you maybe move your
Okay, I've got this phone in my left hand and my book in my right hand. So is this good enough for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna read this piece.
Okay, well, Damien and I are going to disappear for a minute, and we'll be back on when you're done.
Okay.
Okay.
This piece was inspired by Frank X. Walker and people choosing to relabel me as an Appalachian. I didn't see that at the time, but it made for a great poem. So this is called An Appalachian Recipe Makes One Loaf. I got to take my glasses off to read. Take 1/3 cup Native American, preferably an Eastern Woodlands band. Mix with 1/4 cup African, region not necessarily known. Add 1/4 cup Caucasian from somewhere in the Emerald Isles. Finally, add 1 cup non-defined humanity. Stir until well blended, until everything becomes the same color. Add 1 cup river water and 2 eggs from a yard bird. If available, add 1 tablespoon of commodity honey for sweetness. Leave outside in a cool, shadowy place till airborne yeast begins to bubble, stretching the dough skin tight. Bake in a moderate oven until firm and golden. Leave to rest, but when cool enough, eat with butter and sugar, homemade jam and peanut butter, or meat and Miracle Whip while listening to the Grand Ole Opry. That's good stuff. And this next one I'm going to read is called Old Fashioned. This is difficult getting these eyes to work. Breakfast for dinner, fried okra with eggs or succotash of okra, corn, tomatoes, and fish, liver and onions with gravy over rice. Pizza came compliments of Chef Boyardee, and a grilled smoked burger was in your own backyard. Daddy said, it's time to head across the mountains, where we took long walks among no-see-ums to the spring, where the newts declared the water pure and drinkable. Buckets on either side of a pole held across my shoulders. I am Laura Wilder, colored, a pioneer and throwback from the future. Milking cows, churning butter, and running to meet my great-uncle Jimmy coming home, covered in lime, looking as white as he was not. Will we stop at the general store along the road? Will there be a nickel for knee-high, which seems colder and tastier against the red clay heat of Virginia? No electricity, no running water doesn't faze me, 'cause there's plenty of love and fine food straight from the earth. Squash and eggs, corn and tomatoes, wild game, pickles, dill and sweet from last summer's cukes waiting to go crunch in our mouths. We chop wood with abandon, having fun playing with sharp blades. Elders sit and watch from afar as we do the work, putting wood in the pile for short winter days and long winter nights, being careful of snakes who may be hiding within. The stove and the fireplace both need to be fed, and I can start a one-match fire in a pouring rain should I ever have to. I learned a lot from the people that I got to hang out with. I learned how to appreciate what I had and how not to pine for stuff I didn't have, but to work hard to get the courage and the strength to get what I wanted. This is dedicated to my people. My mother's family has been gathering for 52 years, and we were scheduled to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And my people had to have a conversation with ourselves and help us understand that we needed to make the decision that was best for all the people, including the indigenous people of the Southwest. My people traded their mountain home for a northern river valley with hills not so high as we had to cross to go back home. They left the land, but not their relationship with it. Farms became front yards. They still knew all the plant people whose names my grandfather taught me, as his father had taught him, along with the names of cousins once and twice removed, great aunts, great uncles, and married-in kin. They planted photos in black paper albums anchored with gummed corners holding memories in place. Photos on the mantle laid images in my mind of names unique to us like Potress, Iowa, and True Love, or traded among nieces and nephews and kept in every generation, John, Randall, Eveline, or Elizabeth with an S the old Gaelic way, Lucy, Zelma, Deborah, Deborah, Frances with an E, and S.E. for Samantha Elizzie, or her great-grandson Sam Eddy. It's all the same. And just like clover, birds, and flowers, he said to me, we come in an array of colors, some dark and straight, some blonde and blue, others manila with curls and freckles, but all us. That's grandpa wisdom. This poem is my most recent submission. Oops, sorry, y'all. Arthritic left hand. Is my latest submission to Pine Mountain Sand and Gravel, and I expect it will publish because they didn't say no, they said thank you. And it's called Laughing Teeth and Tongue. It's dedicated to my sister who asked me if I'd ever seen our grandfather laugh out loud. Laughing Teeth and Tongue. Did Grandpa ever laugh out loud, you say? No, I can't say so. I saw him smile and heard him chuckle, but laugh out loud and show teeth and tongue? No. I wonder why. Well, his life was not easy and perhaps empty of humor. Accidentally shooting his sister in the house while she knelt in prayer, not funny. Walking miles to court Alice when both fathers were skeptical of their matrimony, not funny. Losing his father's farm because he corrected the math when his daddy sold the cotton? Wonder how that felt. No laughing matter, I'd bet, as the wagon creaked along that dusty road going back home, lighter in the pocket, despite all that effort in the field. The neighbors warned them about the paddy rollers. His mama had delivered babies. They walked that night from Subligna to Chattanooga to keep John from hanging in a tree. I'm sure no one laughed that night, not at all. They were running for their lives. I doubt if he laughed when his Alice lost their second child, or the fifth, taken to the state hospital at 11, never to be seen or held again. Epilepsy. Now there's a pill for that, but not then. I'm sure it wasn't funny when John lost his finger at the Malibu, and surely no one laughed at the medical bill, and not one laughed at the wilted food he was given to feed his family during the Depression, working as a stock boy at 56, and learning how to live on Social Security instead of the sweat of his brow. No laughing matter. No, I can't say I ever saw Grandpa laugh out loud. Never saw him show his teeth and tongue. So that's what I've got. How's that feel?
The last piece was incredible. Especially, I mean, I love the first one because I was just it was so, visual, but that last piece, why didn't he laugh out loud? I mean,
I expect it was several things. People were trained then to cover their mouths when they laughed because, modesty, respect, or the mystical belief that the mouth is an entryway, mouth and the eyes are an entree to and from the soul. So I don't know, because I was too young to think to ask him that kind of question.
Yeah, right.
But I often reflect on that because he wasn't jolly, but he was affable. Ooh, there's a big word.
Yeah.
He was always nice, and he always had something for you. And, he had a big old bristly mustache that he loved to scruff my neck with, which I hated, but tolerated because there was butterscotch in his pocket.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah,
glad you were here.
Really great work. I was really glad to hear you mention Frank X. Walker.
Yeah,
he did some stuff that I found when he was launching the Appalachian magazine. I saw one of his readings, and he was very inspiring to me. He brought Lamont Steptoe to Pittsburgh, and it was a really great reading. So I
got to be the moderator at the Cincinnati Museum Center when the Urban Appalachian Council at that time brought him and the video Cold Black Voices. That's when I met Frank, and Crystal Wilkerson. So I admire them both. They're younger than I am, So it's very interesting to see their perspective, because they're the generation that got Black studies. I was old enough to be in the protest for that while they were still in school, you know. So we're about 9 to 12 years apart. But I love the way they write, you know, and they got an urban experience. And my experience is a little less urban, rural, urban because we had sidewalks, but rural because we still talk funny. You know what I'm saying?
Well, whatever your experience was, the last poem you read, just truly, I mean, gee whiz, that's really some outstanding work. I mean, really impressive.
Well, thank you. That means I'm growing as a writer. Thank you, professors.
It was really amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Down there.
You're welcome.
Night.
Night.